Hi everyone. We're going to have a couple different variations in the fabric. So the first one is at knee height, coming into the fabric first, gathering the fabric about 5 times on each side, and then making some space to lay back. This is sometimes just so relaxing, bringing one foot in, then the other, coming into cocoon. And finding a little bit of movement left to right. This can feel really great on the whole back, as well as the shoulders, and can be so supportive. And then reaching the hands up, finding the feet sway out, and then holding on to the fabric to come back up. And then coming onto the knees, starting to get into the shoulders a little bit. Doing a key wrap and wrapping it around twice. Coming into some cat-cows and leaning back, straightening the arms. That can feel really nice. Coming up slowly with the head coming up last. Inhale, cow. Exhale, drawing the belly in. And then leaning back, straightening the arms and pulling back up. And then coming into some side-to-side half moons. Nice full stretch. These can feel really great. And it takes some control as well. And then coming back up. And then bringing the fabric right about at the hip crease, walking forward to find a downward dog. So this is a supported down dog with the fabric holding the hips. This can feel really great. It's very supportive. And then sliding back under the plumb line, coming into a nice stretch through the upper back and shoulders, widening the legs a little bit, exploring a couple variations here. You can go on forearms as well as hands. And then finding a leg wrap, coming a little bit side to side, keeping the core active and engaged to protect the low back. And that foot that is wrapped around the outside of the fabric. Releasing and then doing the other side. Again, a little side to side. Just finding some variations here. And then slowing down, maybe wrapping both feet and pressing a little bit more into the forearms. Releasing the legs, coming back up to that nice stretch. And then maybe a little flip of the hips. Come into a side position here. And just flip back up into a seat. And then fabric at the low back. Thoughtfully coming back to lower all the way down onto the mat with maybe the shoulders. This might be a little too high for me here. I might have to get a bolster. Yep. Maybe exploring a Peter Pan here first. Little variation of Peter Pan. Should be a little bit easier with the bolster now, with the fabric at this knee height. So positioning the fabric again at the low back. Lowering down, making sure the bolster's where you want it to be. And then legs come around, feet to the front. Maybe coming into that Baddha Konasana position, where you can cross your ankles. You can release one leg, coming into that supine pigeon stretch. Again, one of my favorite stretches there. And you can straighten the top leg. Lots of variations. Releasing the other leg. Great for the hip flexors. And again, you might pull up and find that Peter Pan variation. And coming back down, repositioning, maybe with the legs at that Baddha Konasana. This is a great inversion. It's very calming. Again, a little stretch in that hip flexor of the straight leg. You can bend that knee as well. That really gets a nice quad stretch. Switching legs. Again, coming into that bent knee position for that quad and hip flexor stretch. And then coming back up, you can just make your way to a seat on the bolster. And then coming into stargazers, hands at the back of the head. Feels so good on the upper back, shoulders. And can be pretty fun just getting this sway side to side. And you're not going to go too far. And then slowing down, slowly coming back up. Pause. Notice sensation. And now I'm going to attempt a trick here that I haven't done in a while. It's sort of like a reverse plank. And having the fabric over one shoulder, pressing the other foot in there. Let's see if there's the plank just sort of laying on the fabric there. It's a little tight around the shoulder, but otherwise feeling pretty good. And then slowly coming down, reaching for the mat. And maybe a little leg stretch there while the fabric's supporting the leg. Coming into that stretch and then release. And then bringing the fabric around behind with it at the ankle. Coming into dancer. The fabric's a little low to get up really high in this variation. And pause. And then putting one foot into the fabric, both feet in, and then preparing for butterfly. Reaching one arm up and through, and then the other arm up and through. Arms out, flying here in butterfly. This can be sort of intense on the feet, so I usually don't stay here very long. And then reaching one arm up through the fabric to the other side, and then holding on, straightening the legs, releasing one, and coming down. Pausing, just noticing sensation after each move is so important and valuable. And then coming to a seat on the mat, opening up the fabric, putting one ankle in and then the other, moving the hips forward, and then laying down. And just be in this little gentle inversion for a few breaths. And coming into a reverse plank, lifting the hips up, core is active, bending and straightening the legs with the feet turned out, sort of like pliés. And then lowering the hips, just relaxing. Notice how this inversion feels. Remove one leg, and then you can take that other leg to the side and back. A little movement into the hip and leg. And then putting the other foot in, taking the other leg out, going side to side. And then coming back, both feet in. Again, maybe a little bit of pliés. And then reaching hands to the fabric, pulling back up, stretching forward, a little side to side movement, whatever feels good. And then maybe a deer position with the legs, stretching one direction and then switching the legs, coming into deer position on the other side, getting a nice stretch. That can feel great in the hips and the shoulders and upper back.